The room was dim, just the soft glow of the moon filtering through the curtains. I stirred slightly, the room feeling a little colder than usual. I glanced around in the semi-darkness, my mind still foggy from sleep. Then, I froze. There, standing at the edge of my bed, was my son Liam. His small frame was silhouetted against the dim light, his face unreadable. He wasn't crying, wasn't calling out for me. Just standing there. Silent. Liam. I whispered, my voice thick with sleep. What are you doing here, buddy? He didn't answer. Instead, he just stared at me, his eyes wide and unfocused, as if looking right through me. My heart raced in confusion and a hint of fear crept up my spine. I rubbed my eyes, thinking I was seeing things. Liam. I asked again, more firmly this time. Still nothing. I swung my legs over the side of the bed, feeling the cold wooden floor against my feet. As I reached out to touch him, he took a step back, his feet barely making a sound. It was so strange. So unlike him. Liam had always been a chatty, energetic kid, never the quiet type. Are you okay? I asked, my voice now a little shaken. He simply nodded, but his eyes remained distant, vacant. There was something wrong. Something that I couldn't put my finger on. Come on, let's get you back to bed, I said softly, my mind racing. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away, his gaze fixed on something in the shadows of the room. I felt a chill run through me, not just from the temperature of the night air but from the unnatural stillness in his presence. Something about this moment didn't sit right with me. The morning light seeped through the curtains, casting a warm glow over the room. But it didn't feel comforting. I had barely slept after the strange incident with Liam. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his expression. Empty, distant, almost hollow. When I finally woke up for real, I found him sitting at the breakfast table, eating his cereal like nothing had happened. His usual lively chatter was absent, and he didn't even look up when I came in. Liam, I started, my voice hesitant. What happened last night? You stood by my bed. Are you feeling all right? He paused, his spoon hovering in mid-air. For a second, I thought I might get an answer, but he just shrugged and mumbled, I'm fine, Mom. But I knew he wasn't. His eyes avoided mine, and his voice lacked the warmth it usually had. It was as though the spark inside him had dimmed, leaving him a mere shell of the boy I knew. Liam, look at me, I urged gently, sitting across from him. What happened last night? He finally met my gaze, but his eyes were empty, unfocused. I don't remember, Mom. I just woke up. I stared at him, unsure how to proceed. The fear I had felt in the night lingered in my chest. My son wasn't acting like himself. But how could I help him if he couldn't even remember? By the afternoon, I found myself growing more and more concerned. Liam's behavior was so unlike him. He had always been full of energy, always running around, asking questions, and keeping me on my toes. But now, he was like a different child. He didn't speak much, didn't play with his toys or talk about his favorite cartoons. It was as if the light inside him had gone out. The silence in the house felt deafening. I tried to shake off my worries. Maybe it was just a phase. Maybe he was tired, or maybe I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew something wasn't right. The way he had stood by my bed, unblinking, like he was waiting for something, haunted me. I decided to call my sister, Sarah, to talk things through. Sarah, I need your advice. Something's wrong with Liam. He's been so quiet, and last night he stood in my room, just staring at me, like he wasn't even really there. Have you checked in with his school? She asked. Maybe he's just stressed or tired from something going on there. I don't know, I replied, pacing the room. It's more than that. I feel like he's hiding something. But I don't know what. Sarah fell silent for a moment before speaking again. I know it sounds odd, but maybe you should take him to a therapist, just to talk things out. It might help. The idea of therapy seemed extreme, but I wasn't sure what else to do. Liam's strange behavior couldn't just be ignored. I scheduled an appointment with a child psychologist the next day, hoping it would help. In the meantime, I tried my best to engage Liam in his favorite activities, though he showed little interest. His toys sat untouched in the corner, his books unread. That afternoon, something unexpected happened. Liam came to me and tugged on my sleeve. "Mom," he said quietly, "can we go outside?" His voice was soft, but it was the first time he had initiated something since the incident. My heart lifted, grateful for even the smallest sign of my old Liam. We spent the next hour in the backyard, tossing a ball back and forth. For the first time in days, I saw a flicker of joy in his eyes. He laughed when he missed a catch, and for a moment, I felt a weight lift from my chest. Maybe things were going to be okay. But even then, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Why had he been so distant? And why did he look at me like he was unsure of who I was? That evening, after dinner, Liam fell asleep early. I stayed up late, sitting by his bedside, my mind racing with thoughts and questions. What was going on with my son? The days that followed felt like an endless cycle. Liam's behavior didn't improve. He would go to school, but I noticed he wasn't himself there either. His teachers reported that he had become more withdrawn, hardly participating in class or talking to his classmates. I couldn't ignore it anymore. I needed answers. On the day of his therapy appointment, I could feel my anxiety building. Liam, as usual, was quiet in the car, his eyes staring out the window. He hadn't spoken much since the night in my room, and I wasn't sure what to expect. The therapist, a kind woman named Dr. Carter, greeted us warmly. She asked Liam to sit in a chair across from her and gently prodded him with questions about how he had been feeling lately. But he remained silent, his eyes glazed over. It wasn't until the therapist asked about the incident from the night I had found him standing by my bed that Liam's expression shifted. His hands clenched, his eyes widening slightly. "I saw something," Liam whispered, his voice barely audible. My heart skipped a beat. I leaned forward, barely able to hear him. "What did you see, Liam?" He hesitated for a moment, then spoke, his voice filled with uncertainty. "I saw shadows moving in my room. They wanted me to stay with them. They said they needed me." A cold shiver ran down my spine. Shadows. What was he talking about? But before I could ask more, Liam suddenly clammed up again, his face tightening with fear. Dr. Carter's expression softened, her voice calm. "Liam, you're safe here. You're not alone. We'll figure this out together." After the therapy session, Liam became even more withdrawn. He spoke little at home, and his sleep was fitful. I couldn't shake the feeling that something beyond his imagination was affecting him. That night, I decided to stay awake and keep watch. The memory of him standing in my room, frozen and unblinking, still haunted me. Just before midnight, I heard the creak of footsteps. I turned and saw him standing by the door once again, staring at the shadows in the room. "Liam," I whispered urgently, my voice trembling. "What is it? What's going on?" He looked at me then, and for the first time in days, I saw something like recognition in his eyes. "Mom," he said softly, I don't want to go with them. But they keep calling me. I gasped. Who's calling you, Liam? His voice was barely a whisper. The shadows. Desperation took over. The next day, I did some research, looking up every possible explanation for Liam's strange behavior. Could he be experiencing sleepwalking? Night terrors? Or was it something far worse, something I couldn't understand? Then I found a website that described something that chilled me to my core. There were stories of children who had been affected by shadow people, mysterious figures that appeared in the corners of rooms, watching and sometimes beckoning to children. Could this be what Liam had been experiencing? That night, I stayed up again, determined to get to the bottom of this. As midnight neared, Liam once again appeared at my door. I rushed to him, holding him tightly. "Mom," he whispered, his voice trembling. "They're here again. They want me to come with them." I looked around the room, but there was nothing. Nothing except the eerie feeling of being watched. But one thing was clear. I wasn't going to let him go through this alone. I couldn't do this by myself anymore. I contacted a paranormal investigator who specialized in child hauntings. It seemed crazy, but after everything Liam had said, I was ready to try anything. The investigator arrived the next day, bringing with him tools and equipment to track any unusual activity in the house. As he set up his equipment in Liam's room, I couldn't help but feel a sense of dread wash over me. The room felt colder than before. The shadows on the walls seemed darker, more alive. And then, the investigator spoke, his voice grave. "There's something here," he said. "Something attached itself to your son. It's not just in his imagination." With that, everything clicked. The shadows, the haunting presence. It wasn't just Liam. It was all of us. Together, we performed a cleansing ritual, banishing the darkness that had taken hold of our home. After that night, things slowly began to return to normal. Liam started speaking again, his old self slowly returning. But I would never forget the fear in his eyes when he spoke of the shadows.